Hello, my students, to week number 2 in civics and economics. Now, I know last week was, had a lot of things going on and a lot of civic stuff, a lot of things that hopefully you understand that it is so important to be aware of what's going on around us and the civic government and some of the reasons what by law, constitution, what the government can and cannot do, should and should not do, all those kind of things. This week, we're going to actually be kind of getting into a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of why we got to that place where we felt that there needed to be a constitution, right? We talked about in American history that there was the Articles of Confederation, and then they didn't work out so well and had a lot of issues with them. And now you have this new constitution. But there's also some issues and problems with this new constitution. Who is in charge? Is the federal government in charge? Is the states are in charge? So you're dealing with what we call federalism. And you have groups called the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist coming together. Now, if you have seen the movie Hamilton, or the stage production Hamilton, which was put to Disney Plus over last year. I got a chance to watch that with my daughter, and it was really cool because we got to explain some of the good and maybe not so accurate representations. There's a lot of accurate representations in it. Maybe they took some poetic license as well, but great musical. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. We're actually going to be seeing a couple of clips from that this week, but it really is something to be considered, how things worked. And really the biggest thing is why we as a colony, colonials from England said, no, we're not going to do this. And we had a declaration of rights and grievances to the King of England as a country. And we said, we don't want to be taxed unless we have some representation. So we're going to be talking about that and how that all works. So let's go ahead and dive in. Just a quick overview of this week. So on Monday, we're going to be focusing on the American Revolution. You have some materials found in the Library of Congress that we'll talk about, specifically the Declaration of Rights and Grievances and where we get the idea of no taxation without representation. You're going to take a quiz. It's only a 5-question quiz for the attendance assignments, but it's going to come from some of the presentation and the material we're going to be talking about on Monday. On Tuesday, we're going to be talking about Enlightenment thinkers. Now, I know we talked about this in world history, but we're going to be delving a little bit more specifically about the American Revolution and how they were influential in the American Revolution. With that is the case, and you're going to be doing a s'more. Now this s'more is, let me go to this one, is a presentation resource that you've used before. Very simple, very easy to use, and so this is going to be a tutorial if you want to use it, or if you just want to dive right in. It's very, very simple to use. And you're going to decide on one person that is going to be from this website. And there's I think 7 of them here that you can do, and most of them you've learned about before in world history. But you're going to do the resource of s'more, and you must have the following information. You must have a title, which includes the name of the person and your name. You need to have a minimum of 1 text area. Now this text area, I don't want you to copy and paste. I really want you to put it in your own words, right? And the whole idea is that there is a synopsis of the basic idea of their philosophy and how it impacted American government structure, philosophy, etc. Okay, so put it in your own words. Don't just copy and paste. That's not really the best way to do anything, because it doesn't really help you understand what it actually means. And need to have 1 picture. Now, it doesn't have to be just of the person. It could be of the book that they wrote, or the concept they talk about. You can even put in a meme that is about that philosophy. You need to find 1 video that is about either that person or the philosophy that they espoused, or some of the philosophies that they espoused. And then you need to have an external link that has a website that talks about this. Now, we'll go over this more in class, but something that really allows you to get a little bit more in depth about one of these particular people. It will be an external link or a URL, so that's the way that you're going to do that. All right, so that's your attendance assignment for Tuesday. Now on Wednesday, we really are going to branch out a little bit more on the idea of federalism and contrast the views of the Federalists and anti-Federalists, the Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalist Papers, all kinds of stuff. Now, what you really hopefully remember, this is where Hamilton comes in play, where Hamilton is the writer of, or the majority of the writer of the Federalist paper, and Thomas Jefferson really espouses the views of the Anti-Federalists, and so they're in the cabinet, they're in the same cabinet of George Washington, and they're butting heads. They're fighting a lot about how this thing is going to work, and they are not nice about it. They have some pretty fierce battles, and they call each other lots of names, lots of kind of cuss words, what we would consider today, if we wouldn't think about them, but they are pretty bad. So your attendance assignment for this one is actually going to be a meme. All right, well, three memes in particular, and you need to make a meme about federalism. You need to make a meme about federalists and anti-federalists. So something of their philosophy, their ideas, what they represented, and then just put it into a Google slide so you can have all three of them. And you can link that Google slide. Please make sure it is in your correct folder. That way you can have that as well. All right, so that's going to be for that one on Wednesday. Now on Thursday, we're going to be kind of delving into the idea of what the United States government really found up and ended up doing. Now in Unit 2, we're going to be focusing really on the Constitution and starting to really drill down a little bit more about that. But for now, we're really going to be focusing on just a big overall picture of basically who can trump who can overturn this or that, who can veto, who can take out a judge as far as off the bench. All those kind of things are part of that process. This is basically what we call checks and balances, right? And so you're going to have that ability to look at the system checks and balances from a website. You're actually going to get a hexagon practice, which is kind of cool. This is just a quick thing about it. You're going to hear stuff in the back. And so the green is legislative, checks on the legislative branch. So you can actually, look up here and say, okay, who can veto laws? Well, obviously the executive checks on the legislative branch, so that can work. Now there are, just so you understand, there are more powers that the legislature has because they are closer to the people, right? Especially the House, and they are closer representative to the people, and therefore they have more powers over both the judicial and the executive branch. All right, and so that is just a quick thing that you're going to do, and then you actually have a quiz that it basically looks at like this. It's a little different, and all you're going to do is just check which one does this. Now there's a lot of ways that you can help yourself with this, and it's a very easy, this is a great website right here that just really has a overall very quick overview of this. All right, so last but not least, we're going to be obviously celebrating recognizing Martin Luther King Jr. Day, MLK Day, on Monday, and this is going to be a day off. I'm not going to give you any work, all right? But we also want to make sure that we recognize why we celebrate this such an important individual and the life that he led and what he did. And so these are things I just want you to see, the 10 little known facts. How did Martin Luther King Day become a federal holiday? And then you're also going to review for your key terms by completing a Quizlet or a GimKit review, and that quiz is actually going to be taken on Tuesday of next week. So make sure you are ready for that. Now your week number 2 challenge, this challenge is going to revolve around Martin Luther King Jr. and recognize the contributions. But I want you to use the resources below to discover what the process actually consists of, what it takes to make a federal holiday. Have you ever thought about that? How many actual federal holidays we have, and what is a federal holiday as opposed to a state holiday. Just in the past couple of months, well, I guess more than that now, but Juneteenth, a holiday of very, very important aspects in the after the Civil War, and should we make that a federal holiday, and how that all process works? It's pretty unique, and how that process works. So I always think that it's a kind of a thought process to go through. So that's your thought challenge of the week, and hopefully that will be a very easy, quick, interesting thing to you. All right. So that is this week. I look forward to talking with you more during the week about all the craziness of how this country started, and the disagreements, very strong disagreements on who is in charge of what. Is the state or the federal overcharge, and how does that all work when things kind of interlace there. And so hopefully it's an interesting week for you, and we'll get going. All right, take care. Bye, guys.